And
check, check. Hey, my testing one, check.
mic testing. Mic testing.
Hello, hello, check, check, check. Hello, hello, check.
Check. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So all of us right here are waiting for a bit of laughs, right? How have you guys been liking this session so far today? All of you guys, let's give a huge round of applause for all the panelists and speakers that T-Hub had lined up for all of you. Coming up next, an engineer turned banker turned wedding photographer. Clearly, he knows what he wants in his life, right? Well, fortunately, his stand-up career has been going better than his previous professions, validated by the fact that he has won the season 1 of Amazon Prime's Comic Stan. Ladies and gentlemen, you know who I'm talking about. Please give it up for Nishant Suri.
Hello, yes, hi. Hi, hello, yes, I'm aware I'm not Biswa Kalyan Rath, but I can be, hey, Tatti, tera naam kya hai? I can completely do a Biswa impression. That's a good. I don't think anybody in this entire building for the last 2 days has said the word Tatti, but here you go. This is what happens when you do a stand-up comedy show. I know Biswa was supposed to come here. Biswa has unfortunately success uske sar pe chad gayi hai. So Biswa ne bola main nahi kar raha. No, he's fallen sick, but he has sent a message across for you guys. I'm going to play it for you.
Hello to all startup boys and gals of India. Sorry I couldn't be there with you guys today because just like the crypto market, I have also collapsed. Anyways, for the next round of funding, I wish you all the best because you will need it. Enjoy the rest of the show.
No need to clap for him. Only clap for me. जो आया नहीं है उसके लिए इतनी इज्जत क्यों देनी? Thank you sir. Please take some photos. यहाँ side angle ले लो. Tinder पे best लगता है. I know a lot of you are confused. Okay, very good. Good to be here. देखो, I am absolutely the wrong person to be called for an event like this because I and you, we have nothing common in our lives. Biswa still knows a lot about this ecosystem. पैसे invest करता है. मेरा पैसे मेरा बाप संभालता है. मैं दिन में 10-10 घंटे सोता हूँ. रात को दारू पी के सो जाता हूँ. You are hard-working people, you know, trying to run your own company. There is absolutely nothing in common between us. So Biswa told me कि अरे कुछ नहीं है, बहुत simple है. उन लोग का जाके बस मारना है. कह रहा स्टार्टअप फंडिंग नहीं उठा पा रहा है उस पे जाके उन लोग की बेइज्जती करनी है. बोलना है एक भी यूनिकॉर्न नहीं बना है फरवरी से. फिर मुझे जाके गूगल करना पड़ा कि यूनिकॉर्न क्या होता है. सो नाउ यू नो. आपने वो भेजा फ्राई मूवी देखी है? वो भेजा फ्राई में वो लेके आते हैं ना एक डफर अपने बीच में. मैं हूँ वो. So if I talk to you, I am coming from that perspective. I would like to know what's happening in your life. Before you start, I just want to, I will tell you about myself also because a lot of you look very confused. But I want to talk to you also to figure out who is in the audience today. I see a few very young looking right in the front row. बहुत ज़्यादा नाबालिग. हाँ आप देखो आधे लोग के बाल उड़ गए हैं आपके आने शुरू नहीं हुए हैं ऐसा लग रहा है. What is your name, my friend? Vedant. What? How old are you? You are 16 years old. What are you doing here? You have a startup. Please leave Vedant. I don't. What is this overachieving happening at 16 years old? How many girlfriends do you have, Vedant? One. You have a girlfriend also? Okay, I will leave. Vedant is. Wow, you run your own startup? Is that your co-founder? All of these boys. I really like the authority which with you. कहाँ से आते हैं? नहीं, no, hello, excuse me. This is my moment here. Vedant will do very well in his life. He will get all that validation later on. These 30 minutes are just for me. You can clap for me or throw money on me. Those are the only two things. Yeah, if you throw a little extra money, I will dance also. ऐसा कुछ. Okay, Vedant, I'm very curious. What is your startup? You build technology for public toilets. Okay, and? You convert feces to charcoal. Vedant, have you not? Is porn blocked inside your house? What is? Why have you gone in this direction as a 16-year-old? This is your time to enjoy, buddy. आप पॉटी देख के उससे कोयला बना रहे हो. इतनी बाली हो. Anyway, sorry. Yeah, you convert feces to charcoal. You help youngsters use technologies to solve really big. So you help yourself, youngsters. At 16, how old were you when you started this? You started at 14. And how did you get into this world of... Was there some trauma in your life? How does a young boy go into this? How did you get into converting feces into... That's what I'm more interested about. You joined this place and that reminded you of feces. I just want to tell the Telangana government, this is what he's saying about your tea hub. He's like, I joined this place, मेरे को लगा, wow, क्या tea है इधर पे? Okay. No. This is... Who am I to make fun of you, buddy? 16-year-old, have your own startup. You're making money? Good. Please call me for corporate shows, huh? That's all I want in life. और कुछ नहीं चाहिए मेरे को. And who is that next to you? Arav. देखा ये आवाज से कॉन्फिडेंस एकदम छलक रहा है कि 2-3 पोटियां तो मैंने भी कन्वर्ट करी. Arav, what do you do, Arav? Tech Nutties. And what does it do? Can I take a platform? We're educating the youth. I like how you guys keep speaking in third person. Like the youth is somewhere else apart. Okay. You are the youth. तो आपकी तो स्कूल में बहुत इज्जत होती होगी. बाकी कह रहे हैं मैंने साइकिल खरीदी, ये कह रहा है तो वो बाथरूम में जो करके आया था ना उसकी मैंने इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बन रही है उससे अभी बाहर वहां पे. Wow, and you guys are friends from before? Yes. Where did you meet? Do you super geniuses have like a WhatsApp group also? LinkedIn. You are on LinkedIn. You have no shame. हाई फाइव पे था मैं 16 साल की उम्र में और लड़कियों को स्टॉक करता था वहां जाके. वेरी गुड. या आई कैन सी दैट माई डिस्प्लेजर इज नॉट नोबडी रिलेटिंग बिकॉज लाइक हाँ यही तो करना होता है क्योंकि ये भी तो सारे ऐसे ही है ना जीवन बनाने आए हुए. हेलो सर, व्हाट्स योर नेम सर? यू सर. हाँ जी. यू आर ऑल्सो अशेम्ड. सेम पिंच सर, सेम पिंच. व्हाट डू यू डू सर? You work for a firm which is into aviation. You can say that with a lot more pride. He was talking about shit with a lot more pride. आप जहाज उड़ा रहे हो, वो जहाज का पुश वो वाला बना रहा है. अच्छा, what does your firm do with aviation? It's into airports. Which firm? GMR. I know GMR. But like, you took my statement about me being an absolute duffer very seriously. It's good. ये like बिल्कुल बेसिक से बताएंगे. अच्छा, and what do you do for that company? Okay, nice. And did you sit in the front row because you were hoping Biswa would be here? And now you are pleasantly surprised. यो ये तो सुंदर आदमी खड़ा हो गया सामने आके. बता देना बिस्वा को ये सब करके. I'm equally good. You've already decided. You can leave now because it's only going to go downhill. I don't want your impression to worsen. Very nice. Some ladies also in the front row. Hello, ladies. I will talk to that lady. Hi. You have mehndi in your hand? You look what? How old are you? Married already? I won't be surprised. No, you're not married. अच्छा किसी और की शादी में से आए हैं. What's your name? Anvita. And Anvita, what do you do? अच्छा, you're the co-founder. ठीक है ठीक. Sorry. And how do you know which co-founder? That one, the smarter guy. अच्छा. And how do you know him from? Like, where do you know him from? Through LinkedIn. How old were you when you got on LinkedIn? When you were 13 or 14? Why? Your dad forced you to get on LinkedIn. It worked out quite well. And what is your role? What do you do in the company? You focus on the content that you get. What sort of content are you creating? You have an accent, I see. Where are you from? From America. And you now you're settled here? You came here. You're living the reverse dream. You're coming from America to Hyderabad. Why have you're permanently settled here now? Is that what's happening? Closer to you. Our grandparents must be very proud of you, no? Young girl already make. How much money do you? Allowed होता है क्या ये पूछना? हाँ बिल्कुल. वहाँ भिखारियों से आवाज आ रही है वहाँ से. अरे हम भी तो देखें पॉटी बनाने में कितना पैसा रखा हुआ है. हम ऐसे ही दुनिया की प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने में लगे. आप सब GMR वाले हैं? नहीं. आप किसमें? You work in Amazon. आपके पास भी तो बहुत पैसा है. Very good, very rich people. As I said, show is very simple. If you like a joke, you have to throw 2,000 rupees notes on me like that. Okay, you are all aware. How many of you have never seen live stand-up before? Just raise your hand. Quite a lot. Yeah, obviously, none of you have seen live stand-up because you have not lived life. Have you seen cartoons? Do you know who Tom and Jerry are? अरे कहीं तो let me win over you ना. Girlfriend भी है, Tom and Jerry भी पता है आपको. Okay, how many of you have seen live stand-up? Just put your hands up. Lots of. Very nice. Who have you seen, sir? Biswa. ठीक है. I am better. Good. I will come back to speaking to you later. Let me quickly introduce myself because I see a lot of you are very confused. My name is. Before that, how many of you have no idea who I am? Just raise your hand. No idea who I am? No, too many. Put it down immediately. Not a good question to ask. My name is Nishant Suri and I am famous. Yeah, I am. मेरे को बताना पड़ता है because my fame is a little weird. You see, all my fame is from this show called Comicstan. Have you heard of Comicstan? Yeah. I won the first season of that show. So all my fame is from Comicstan. No thanks. No. Only money. Every time. All my fame is from Comicstan. So that's the problem with my fame. You see, is that I am only famous amongst people who can afford Amazon Prime. तो आप देख रहे हो ऑल्ट बालाजी वालों को आइडिया ही नहीं है कि देश में नया सुपरस्टार आ गया. वो कह रहे हैं नंगे होके जोक सुनाओ, अदरवाइज वी आर नॉट इंटरेस्टेड. आई नो अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल वॉच Amazon Prime, बट जितना बड़ा हमारा देश है, अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल डोंट वॉच Amazon Prime. तो मुझे समझ ही नहीं आ रहा है कि मैं साला फेमस हुआ हूं कि नहीं हुआ हूं. क्लैरिटी नहीं मिल पा रही है. Like I was someone like Zakir Bhai, right? He is famous everywhere, all the time. That is fame. I am famous in some places occasionally. हफ्ते में 3-4 बार, कभी कभार. Last week I was in Mumbai, so I was famous on Monday at 4:30 p.m. outside Dadar station. I was standing there and this guy bumped into me and he's like, "Arey, Nishant Suri, big fan." I'm like, wow, I have arrived. 5 मिनट बाद मैं चल रहा हूँ, एक और बंदा टकरा गया. कह रहा है अंधा है क्या, मैं दिखता नहीं है कहाँ जा रहा है. Like, wow, I have departed also. That was fast. It's very confusing, my fame. Not just मेरे खुद के फैंस को नहीं समझ आ रहा मुझे कितनी इज्जत देनी है. मैं अपने दोस्त के साथ I was in Goa और हम बीच पे चल रहे थे और एक लड़का, what was his name? वेदांत. एक लड़का वेदांत टाइप का ऐसे भाग के मेरी तरफ आया and he's like, "Hey man, Nishant, loved you on Comicstan, great job, love your work." I was like, "Thank you." और उसके हाथ में फोन था तो my friend was like, "Do you want me to take a photo?" And that guy looked at me for a second and he's like, नहीं इतना भी बड़ा आदमी नहीं है. And he walked away. ये बोल के निकल गया. मैं वहां कंफ्यूज खड़ा हूं कि इस पूरी ट्रांजैक्शन में नेट मुझे इज्जत मिली है कि बेइज्जती हुई है. यहाँ सेल्फ एस्टीम को समझ नहीं आ रहा है, उठना है गिरना है क्या करना है. ये सब के बाद मेरे को मम्मी आके परसों एडवाइस दे रही है, कह रही है बेटा फेम को कभी सर पे मत चढ़ने देना. हम लाइक मम्मी चांस ही नहीं है सर पे. फेम पैंट कमर तक नहीं चढ़ पा रहा है. फेम बकचोदी कर रहा है मेरे साथ. फेम चढ़ता है यहाँ तक आता है, फिर गुदगुदी करके भाग जाता है यहाँ से. फेम कैसे चढ़ेगा फेम सर पे? एक तो मैं रहता भी दिल्ली में हूँ. दिल्ली के लोग माशाल्लाह इतने वाहियात. कोई है दिल्ली से यहाँ पे? लगी रहते शक्ल से ना. तो दिल्ली में मैं गया. आई वेंट टू दिस मार्केट कॉल्ड लाजपत नगर. ओके, एंड आई पार्क माई कार एंड अपना काम करके मैं आया. इट वाज 6 PM, विच मीन देयर वाज स्टिल डे लाइट. तो मैंने देखा एंड माई कार वाज राइट नेक्स्ट टू द मेन रोड. ठीक है, तो मैंने देखा एक लड़का वेदांत टाइप का मेरे गाड़ी की फ्रंट व्हील पे सुसु कर रहा है. He's urinating. I don't know, must be some kind of a startup, but he's urinating on my car and he's happy doing it. This is Delhi. He doesn't care. लोग देख रहे हैं, daylight, गाने गा रहा है, सीटियां मार रहा है, and now like an idiot, I am standing there in a dilemma behind him कि should I interrupt him? Because one, it's not like you can stop midway. एक बार ये फवारा चालू हो गया, there is no pause button. Secondly, I was scared the kind of idiot he was. मैंने यहाँ से चीख मारी, वो गधा चौंक कैसे पीछे मुड़ गया. तो so I decided to wait for him to finish, which in hindsight was a terrible decision because he took time. He took a lot of time. वो आदमी नहीं, वो ऊंट था. जितना वो आदमी मुँहता है, it was almost like वो हवा से moisture absorb करके ऐसा रिसाइकल करके बाहर निकाल रहा है. Another kind of startup. इसमें प्रॉब्लम ये हो गई कि अगर वो वहां खड़ा है ना, मैं ऐसे खड़ा हो गया कि जैसे ये खत्म करेगा, आई विल से अ फ्यू वर्ड्स अबाउट हिज मदर एंड हिज सिस्टर. पर वो उसका खत्म ही नहीं हो रहा. 30 सेकंड हो गए, 1 मिनट हो गया, वो सुसु कर जा रहा है, मैं देखे जा रहा हूँ. 1.5 मिनट हो गया, 2 मिनट हो गया, मुझे जा रहा है, मैं देखे जा रहा हूँ. कैन यू इमेजिन टू एन आउटसाइडर व्हाट दिस लुक्स लाइक? अगले दिन इंस्टाग्राम पे फोटो आ जाएंगी कि निशांत सूरी को मुफ्त में मर्दों को देखने का शौक है. अच्छा, वर्स्ट पार्ट इज एज आई एम वेटिंग फॉर हिम टू फिनिश, मेरी नजर पीछे गई, मैंने देखा मेरे पीछे एक और आदमी आके खड़ा हो गया। बोला हाँ जी भाई साहब क्या चाहिए आपको? कह रहा है क्या चाहिए मतलब क्या हमें भी अब साले लाइन तोड़ने लगी यहाँ पे। तेरे को क्या लग रहा है सुलभ शौचालय वालों ने हुंडई के साथ कोलैब करा है? यूरिनल गम कार वॉश खोलेंगे वहां पे। फाइनली उसको भगाया मैंने, दिस गाय फिनिश्ड एंड ही टर्न्ड अराउंड एंड दिस 100% ट्रू। ओके, he turned around and before I could say anything to him, he looked at me and he's like, अरे निशांत सूरी, कह रहा है बिग फैन, हाथ पीछे कर अपना यहाँ से। Like what is this target audience I'm reaching out to man? कोई मुंह पे बेइज्जती करके जा रहा है, कोई गाड़ी पे सुसु करके जा रहा है। ये है मेरा फेम, कैसे चढ़ेगा ये फेम सर पे? But these are, I see a few concerned faces, just self-deprecating jokes. Then तो वैसे करियर अच्छा चल रहा है। Yeah, it's going well. I just recently I went to do an international show in Nepal. Has anyone been to Nepal? No, don't be proud about it. नीचे कर लो हाथ. No, I'm lying. I didn't go to Nepal. I went to Patna. Patna mein I was in the flight and I was sitting in the emergency exit, right? And the air hostess comes to explain that whole procedure, and she came. And you all know that whole thing. She's like blah 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 blah. Only open that door when you hear the command, passengers evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. And then she realized मेरे साथ में जो आदमी बैठे थे उनको इंग्लिश नहीं आती थी, so she repeated the whole thing in Hindi, which if you've heard, every word is शुद्ध हिंदी. कुर्सी की पेटी, आपातकालीन द्वार, हवा भरने वाली नल्ली, हवा भरने वाली नल्ली, which means this is meant for someone जिसे इंग्लिश का एक शब्द नहीं आता है. Agreed? And yet she ended that whole thing with, इस आपातकालीन द्वार को तभी खोलिए जब आपको सुनाई दे passengers evacuate, evacuate, evacuate. And I'm like, sister, that's the most important part of that sentence. तूने दरवाजा कैसे खोलना है हिंदी में बताया, कब खोलना है फॉरेन लैंग्वेज में पता की चलेगी उसको. To evacuate to him is not a word, it's just a sound. उसको ट्यूब नहीं पता, उसको नल्ली बताना पड़ रहा है. उसको evacuate क्या घंटा समझ आएगा? अब आप सोचो, it's the middle of the flight, every time there is an announcement in English, वो बेचारा घंट फटी में दरवाजा पकड़ के बैठा हुआ है, क्योंकि उसको नहीं पता ना कि नीचे छलांग लगाने को बोल रही है कि चिकन टिक्का सैंडविच बेच रही है. उसको छोड़ो, उससे ज्यादा मेरी फटी हुई है कि अगर गलती से टर्बुलेंस हो गई, इसने साले ने दरवाजा खोल देना है. इस सबके साथ अपनी अपनी नलियों में फूके मारते हुए नीचे चले जाना. I was thinking there should be an evacuation command in Hindi also, ना पूरा हिंदी में बना दिया, कमांड भी हिंदी में करो. तो फिर मैंने गूगल किया कि इवैक्यूएट को हिंदी में क्या बोलते हैं, और गूगल ने मुझे बताया कि इवैक्यूएट को हिंदी में बोलते हैं खाली करो. खाली करो, खाली करो में वो सीरियसनेस नहीं है जो इवैक्यूएट में. आप सोचो, यू आर स्लीपिंग इन द मिडल ऑफ द फ्लाइट एंड यू सडनली हियर द एयर होस्टेस गोइंग, यात्रियों खाली करो, खाली करो, खाली करो. यू विल बी लाइक, सारी फ्लाइट बस अड्डे कैसे पहुंच गई यार यहाँ पे. वेरी गुड. बिस्वा ने मुझे बोला था कि ये कह रहा है ये सब साले स्टार्टअप वाले हैं, इनको कोई नॉर्मल जोक समझ नहीं आता. कह रहे हंसेंगे नहीं तेरे नॉर्मल जोक पे, इनको जाके फंडिंग फंडिंग करनी होगी. मैंने बोला सुनो, मेरे को तो आता नहीं है सब. गुड ऑडियंस, वी विल प्रूव बिस्वा रॉन्ग. ऑल्सो अगर आपको पसंद आए ना तो अपनी कंपनी से अगले वाले शोज में, बिस्वा पुराने हो गए हैं, वी आर द न्यू जनरेशन है ना, यू कैन कॉल अस. एंड इफ यू डोंट लाइक, इफ यू डोंट लाइक माई शो टुडे, यू प्लीज रिमेंबर माई नेम इज राहुल दुआ. ओके, या यू वांट टू गो एंड से ओ बैड लैंग्वेज यूज कर रहा था ट्विटर पे ऐसे कर, किसी को प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं है ना. वैसे देखो, थोड़ा मैंने तो इनसे पूछा था कि क्या खुल के परफॉर्म कर सकते हैं, उन्होंने बोला था हाँ देयर इज फ्रीडम ऑफ एक्सप्रेशन. तो आई वाज लाइक लॉल एंड देन शी वाज लाइक लॉल एंड देन वी लाफ. बट हाँ, किसी को प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं है ना ऐसे, क्योंकि देखो बैड लैंग्वेज इट्स एन इमोशन, इट्स एन एक्सप्रेशन ऑफ इमोशन. अगर आप रात को ऐसे सो के उठते हो और आपका अंधेरे में पैर ऐसे टेबल पे लगता है, तो यू डोंट गो कि ओहो बुद्धू, अंदर से आता ना फिर. दैट इज व्हाट वी ट्राई टू अचीव. ओके, but we are all adults here except these two in the front. Because of you I can't do adult jokes now. How many are below 18 here? Quite a few. You don't look below 18. आसपास देख रहा है कौन मैं. नहीं ठीक है, but the rest of us are adults. You are almost adults, so we can handle a little bit of that kind of humor. मेरे पैसे आ चुके हैं, मैं तो अभी खाली कर दूंगा. मेरे बाप का क्या जा रहा है. फंडिंग आपने रेज करनी है, हम पहले करा देते थे. हम स्टेज पे चढ़ने से पहले करा लेते हैं. How many of you are in a relationship here? Make some noise. People in a relationship? Yeah, see, you have to open. You're all very uptight right now. थोड़ा ऐसे खुल जाना है ऐसे. People who are in a relationship, clap your hands if you're in a relationship. Clap your hands. Just that figures. How many single people in the audience? Make some noise. I see some people who didn't make some noise for both of those things. They're like, हमने लड़की kidnap कर रखी है, अभी पता नहीं relationship में है कि नहीं है. What is the issue? In the people in the second row, sir, you didn't make noise for anything. You're single, you're married, sir. See, married people don't consider themselves to be in a relationship. They're like, ये तो समझौता है. प्यार मोहब्बत बचकानी बातें मत किया करो. I just got out of a relationship 3 years ago and हाँ मतलब वो 3 साल पहले निकल गई थी, मैंने डिनायल से निकलना भी शुरू करा है. And it's okay, it's all right. It wasn't meant to be. It wasn't meant to be. We will come to you. This is my time. It wasn't meant to be. We wanted very different things from the relationship. You know, I wanted her and she wanted to leave. So we were like, तेरा वाला कर लेते हैं. See, the problem was there was a huge difference in how we felt about each other. You know, I was madly in love. To me, she was the one. But apparently to her, I was one of the. आप समझ रहे हो, वो मेरी ऐश्वर्या राय थी, मैं उसका सलमान खान था. You getting me? वो मेरी कटरीना कैफ थी, मैं उसका सलमान खान था. आपको समझ आ रहा है? वो मेरी सलमान खान थी, मैं उसका ब्लैक बक था. मजाक में गांड मार के निकल गई और हम खड़े हैं यहाँ नाबालिग बच्चों के सामने चुटकुले सुनाते हुए. I was very heartbroken though. Anyone who's gone through a serious breakup, very heartbroken. For 3 years I was quite messed up. Then finally I was like, enough, time to move on. I want to feel better. I want to move on. So very happy to tell you guys, I'm finally seeing someone else. Yeah. Thank you. We don't meet very often though, just once a week, because that's how therapy works. And yeah, I had to. जाना पड़ा मुझे therapy. Not ashamed of it. I see quite a few of you also who should go. Not going to point out, but it is there with it. नहीं, because क्या करे एक मर्द अपनी इन भावनाओं के साथ? What does a man do? The problem is, as a man, you can't go to your guy friends for emotional support. You can't. मैं अपनी जिंदगी में एक बार अपने दोस्त के सामने रोया हूँ, okay? And this is how he consoled me. He put his hand on my shoulder and he's like, निशांत यार, मैं तुझे रोते हुए नहीं देख सकता. और इसलिए वो रूम से उठ के बाहर चला गया. मैं रोते रोते खिड़की से देख रहा हूँ, गाड़ी में बैठ के निकल गया वहां से. लेकिन ये क्या सोल्यूशन हुआ? We are very awkward with our feelings, है ना वेदांत? Not that you've developed any yet, but we are awkward with our feelings. Sir, what was your name? नहीं, ये वाले. Dinesh. Men are very awkward with our feelings, right? Even with our friends, we don't talk. I feel like men, feelings to us are like our nipples. We all have them. We have no idea what to do with them. So we are just hiding them. Feeling nipple, दोनों हजारों साल से छुपाए घूमे. आपस में बात भी नहीं कर रहे कि भाई दिनेश तू अपने nipples का क्या कर रहा है? Maybe it's figured it out. I don't know. बीच में कपड़े बांध के ऐसे तार बांध के कपड़े सुखाता है. नहीं, but बहुत सारे स्टार्टअप वाले बैठे हो, थोड़ा दिमाग लगाओ. Why do men? क्यों है हमारे पास? कोई एवोल्यूशन को बता कि ना कि बहन खत्म है, काम हटाओ ना ही नहीं. एवोल्यूशन इतनी वैल्यू, इतनी घटिया प्रायोरिटीज एवोल्यूशन की. आप देखो, निपल छोड़ दिए, पूंछ हटा ली. आई वुड मच रादर हैव अ टेल देन निपल. पूंछ इतना पावरफुल ऑर्गन है, पूरे किंगडम को आग लगा सकते हो आप. निपल से लगा के दिखाओ दिनेश, हर दीवार पे जाके ऐसे ऐसे करके रगड़ना पड़ेगा, ऐसे करके. आप सबके सपनों में आज निपल और पूंछ आएंगी. The point is, we are not good at dealing with feelings. If the only emotion we are good at dealing with is anger. Anger, that's the manly emotion. And it's not our fault. Society has told us that this is how a man needs to be. Right? Pop culture में आप देख रहे हो तो मर्द हमेशा एकदम ऐसा aggressive. Bollywood की हर मूवी में every hero is this एकदम हर पिक्चर में देखा है आपने, 12 पैक एब्स बना के आ गया हरामी. 12 6 उधार पे लेके आया बाहर से. यहां से शुरू हो रहे हैं उसके एब्स, यहां से यहां तक. तू आदमी है कि बर्फ की ट्रे है तू? कितना awkward हो जाएगा रात को जैकी को दारू पीनी है, फ्रीजर खोल रहा, टाइगर लेटा हुआ है ऐसे वहां पे. सॉरी, पॉइंट इज गर्लफ्रेंड भाग गई. तो फिर मैंने वही किया, मेरी उम्र के लौंडे. मैंने आई मेड एन अकाउंट ऑन बम्बल. कोई है बम्बल, टिंडर, ऐसे वाले स्टार्टअप का है कोई यहाँ पे? हाँ, यूजफुल वाला कोई नहीं है इधर. मैं बम्बल पे, बट यू गाइज नो व्हाट बम्बल इज. सर मैरिड, सर यू नो व्हाट बम्बल इज? आई होप नॉट. वेरी गुड. I installed Bumble, and this is a true story. Bumble blocked my account because too many women reported my account as a fake account. Yeah, because they were like, ये तो निशांत सूरी है, ये तो फेमस कमेडियन है, इसको डेटिंग एप्स की क्या आवश्यकता, इसको तो रियल लाइफ में लड़कियां मिलती होंगी. प्रॉब्लम विद दैट इज कि देखो फेमस कॉमेडियन मैं 5 साल से हूं, उससे पहले की पूरी जिंदगी में इंजीनियर था, तो सारा अंदर की कंडीशनिंग तो वो वाली है ना। अभी बिल्डिंग में पेंट बाहर नया लग गया है, लेकिन वायरिंग तो सारी पुरानी है। आप देखो, आपकी कोर पर्सनालिटी लाइफ के पहले 15-20 साल में बन जाती है, फिर 30 साल की उम्र में सेल्फ अवेयरनेस आती है कि यार पर्सनालिटी तो बहुत झाटू है, फिर कराते रहो थेरेपी थेरेपी, इट्स टू लेट। एक बार सीमेंट सूख गया, फिर वो कुत्ते का पैर का निशान नहीं जाने वाला ना उसमें से। क्या कर लेगा आदमी फेमस होके? द थिंग इज, यू नो, टू मीट समवन इन रियल लाइफ you need game. And you guys know what having game is, right? And engineering men, we don't, I go to a bar, other men and I, we are not even playing the same game. वो लोग दिमाग लगा रहे हैं, स्ट्रेटेजी लगा रहे हैं, कैसे बात करनी है, क्या कर रहा है। They are playing chess, I am playing ludo, क्योंकि मेरा सब भगवान भरोसे है कि ईश्वर ने चाहा तो नाचते नाचते बाहों में गिर जाएगी, फिर हमारा ब्याह हो जाएगा। पर ये हमारी गलती भी नहीं है, ये हम इंजीनियर लोग की गलती नहीं है that we don't have game. कोई सिखा ही नहीं रहा है, कोई सिखाए कहां है इसका स्टार्टअप? Nobody is teaching you this very essential skill. What is the human mating ritual? Finding a mate and reproducing is the single most important skill for life to exist and continue. It is the most important skill. If it stops, all of life will stop. कोई सिखा ही नहीं रहा, बेकार की चीजें सिखा। क्या सिखा रहे हैं स्कूल में? Extraction of aluminium from bauxite. भूसा करूं मैं बॉक्साइट का? बॉक्साइट की मांग में जाके सिंदूर भरूं मैं? कहां है डॉक्यूमेंट्री डिस्कवरी पे कि कैसे आकर्षित करे एक नर इंसान एक मादा इंसान को? हमारा दिखा नहीं रहे हैं दिनेश, बाकी जानवरों को दिखा के जेलस और कर रहे हैं, कह रहे हैं वो देखो हाथी लगे हुए हैं आपस में, वो देखो। इसमें मुझे थोड़ी ना मदर नेचर से भी कंप्लेंट है, बिकॉज फॉर ऑल हर अदर चिल्ड्रन, ऑल अदर एनिमल्स एंड प्लांट्स, ऑल ऑफ देम नो देयर मेटिंग रिचुअल बाय इंस्टिंक्ट, राइट? उन सबको पता है, मोर को पता है, हमें नहीं पता, हमें नहीं पता है, बाकी सब जानवरों को। मोर को पता है कि मोरनी के सामने आके ऐसे ऐसे करके डांस करेगा, मोरनी भी बोले हाय मेरे राजा, इतना तेरा एक एक पंख फाड़ दूं मैं। एंड देन द पीकॉक गोज एंड ही इज स्पैंकिंग द पीहेन, हु इज द नेशनल बर्ड, हु इज द नेशनल बर्ड, हु इज द नेशनल बर्ड? गुड, आई एम वेरी ग्लैड यू गाइस डिडंट लाफ एट इट। दे आर लाइक व्हाई इज पीकॉक स्पैंकिंग? व्हाट इज दिस सम स्टार्टअप कल्चर? व्हाट्स हैपनिंग हियर? इज इट this part of their remuneration package? Is it 500 rupees and 10 spanks? यार तुमने मेरी अपनी पूरी जिंदगी के बारे में मेरे को इतना घटिया फील करा दिया ना। 16 साल की उम्र में इतना अचीव करके बैठे हो, 30 साल की उम्र में क्या करोगे? By what age do you plan to retire? No, you just die one day with all of your money. All of us will. It's not. ये awkward कर दिया। I will tell you some more stuff. 30 मिनट हो गया क्या कि 25 हुआ? 25 हुआ, ठीक है, 5 और हैं। मुझे तो मजा आ रहा है, आप लोग का पता नहीं मुझे, इनको भी बहुत मजा आ रहा है। सर आप हर शो में आया करो। बड़ों पे हंसते नहीं है, शुश। तो टीचर भी तुम्हारे, तो प्रिंसिपल भी कुछ नहीं बोल सकता, स्कूल खरीद लेगा अगले दिन तू। ठीक है, लेट मी टेल यू सम मोर स्टफ अबाउट। हाँ सर, किसी ने नहीं देखा आपको? लाइक अभी तो आदमी था, अरे कहां गया? No, but well tried. My father was in the army of Pakistan, and no, I know it's a stupid joke, but every time I say my father was in the army, लोग impress हो जाते हैं। I'm like, सुन तो लो, कौन सी आर्मी? पता लगा वो आईसीस की सारी वीडियो में आदमी पीछे से काला झंडा लेके नहीं खड़ा होता। तुम्हें क्या पता ब्रिगेडियर सूर्य नहीं है? इंडियन आर्मी में थे मेरे पापा, तो ट्रांसफरेबल जॉब, राइट? So I was born and brought up all over the country, and no, sorry, I was brought up all over the country. I was born in one place. मेरा जन्म शताब्दी एक्सप्रेस के हक में नहीं हुआ था। Yeah, so anyway, so when I was about 8 years old, my father was posted to Bikaner. Have you guys heard of Bikaner? Yeah, भुजिया बनती है वहाँ पे। Yeah, that's the only thing that happens in Bikaner. Bikaner में था, 8 साल का था, तो उन्होंने मेरे को देखा and they were like, ये तो स्टार्टअप नहीं खोल पाएगा 16 साल की उम्र तक, तो इसको कुछ स्किल सिखानी पड़ेंगी, है ना, इसकी पर्सनालिटी में एड ऑन डालने पड़ेंगे। तो उन्होंने मुझे म्यूजिक क्लासेस ज्वाइन कराई, और म्यूजिक क्लासेस का नाम था मारू सर्स कैसियो क्लासेस। वेरी फेमस इन ऑल ऑफ बीकानेर। मेन मार्केट में बड़ा सा उनका बोर्ड था, मारू सर्स कैसियो क्लासेस, सब कैसियो सीखने आते थे। यू नो व्हाट अ कैसियो इज? नॉट अ, व्हाट इज इट? कीबोर्ड। ये बात मुझे कैसियो सीखने के 8 साल बाद पता लगी कि वो उल्लू के पट्टे इंस्ट्रूमेंट को कीबोर्ड बुलाते हैं। क्योंकि बीकानेर में मारू सर कैसे सिखाते थे, हम कैसे सीखते थे। उसके बाद 8 साल तक वहां से बाहर निकलने के बाद मैं लोग को बोलता फिर रहा था कि मैं तो कैसे हो जाता हूँ, कैसे हो जाता हूँ। लोग देख रहे हैं कि वाह ये घड़ी बजाता है, व्हाट अ टैलेंट। मारू सर कैसे क्लासेस, मारू सर मुझे इतना याद है, ही वॉज वेरी इंकरेजिंग टुवर्ड्स मी, बहुत प्रोत्साहन देते थे। यू नो यू लाइक यू आर वेरी टैलेंटेड, बहुत आगे जाओगे। ही रियली लाइक्ड मी, ऐसा उन्होंने मुझे बोला था मेरी जांघों पे हाथ रख के। एंड तो एनीवे उन्होंने सिखाया मेरे को 3 साल, ठीक है। और 3 साल बाद पापा की पोस्टिंग आ गई एंड सर वाज वेरी इमोशनल। ही केम टू मी लाइक नो बेटा आई हैव टॉट यू एवरीथिंग दैट आई न्यू, द वर्ल्ड इज योर ऑयस्टर, उड़ जाओ मेरे परिंदे, कर लो दुनिया मुट्ठी में। अरे वो सर ठीक है, आप जांघों पे से हाथ उठाओ यार, क्या कर रहे हो। तो फिर उसके बाद मैं निकल गया वहां से। देन आई वेंट टू अ कपल ऑफ अदर स्मॉल प्लेसेस एंड देन आफ्टर 4-5 years आई लैंडेड इन दिल्ली। ओके, दिल्ली में मैंने स्कूल ज्वाइन किया, DPS RK-पुरम। फॉर दोज ऑफ यू डोंट नो, हाउ डू आई एक्सप्लेन इट टू यू? It represents the worst of Delhi. What do you think of when you think of Delhi? Also, some of you have seen the MMS. So you're laughing right in the front row, sitting here. Yeah, so it's a huge culture shock to me, right? Because मैं छोटी-छोटी जगहों से पढ़ के आया था पूरी जिंदगी. Suddenly I was in Delhi. In that school, there were 2,000 children in 11th and 12th. Massive school. And I'm there and I'm just walking and I'm feeling so. I was a very underconfident kid. But मुझे खाली एक चीज पे भरोसा था, अपनी कैसियो स्किल्स पे. पहले दिन मुझे याद है, मैं आई वाज सुसु कर रहा था टॉयलेट में, एक बच्चा मेरे को ऐसे ही बुली बिना बात के धक्का देके चला गया। मैं नीचे गिरा हूं टॉयलेट में एंड आई एम जस्ट फीलिंग लाइक क्राइंग, बट आई एम लाइक साले तू म्यूजिक रूम में मिल, वहां दिखाऊंगा मैं तुझे। फिर 2 दिन बाद म्यूजिक पीरियड आया और मैं म्यूजिक रूम में गया और मैंने निकाला अपना कैसियो और बाकी बच्चों ने निकाला अपना कीबोर्ड और सबने बजाना शुरू किया। और मैंने देखा कि बाकी सारे बच्चे कीबोर्ड 2 हाथ से बजा रहे थे और मेरी फट के हाथ में आ गई, क्योंकि हमें सिखाया तो नहीं, हमें तो बताया भी नहीं था कि दैट्स पॉसिबल। मुझे लगता था दूसरे हाथ का काम खाली यही होता है, वो जो टिक टिक वाला बटन नहीं होता दबाने वाला। तो फिर मैंने सोचना शुरू किया कि यार ऐसा क्यों कि मारू सर ने सिखाया नहीं, बताया नहीं हमें। एंड दैट्स व्हेन आई रियलाइज कि दैट वाज बिकॉज मारू सर ने बीकानेर में सीखा था, वहीं छोटे टाउन से वहीं सीखे हुए, वहीं वो सिखा रहे थे। तो मारू सर हमें कीबोर्ड बजाना हारमोनियम पे सिखाते थे, तो उनका एक हाथ तो यूं करने में बिजी होता था। एंड आई गेट इट, आपने वहां से सीखा था, आपको भी आता था, आई एक्सेप्ट इट, इट्स फाइन। ऑल आई एम सेइंग इज बता तो देते ना। अगर स्किल सेट आधा दे रहे हो तो कॉन्फिडेंस पूरा मत देके निकालो ना बाहर। हर साल छोटे छोटे बच्चे बीकानेर से बाहर निकल रहे हैं कि गन फोड़ देंगे बाहर जाके, और फिर एक हाथ से सबके सामने जाके संदेश से आते हैं ऐसे करके गाने बजा रहे। वहां मेरे सामने एक बच्चे ने 2 हाथ से बीटहोवन बजाए, मैंने एक हाथ से तुम तो ठहरे परदेसी बजाए, क्योंकि सर गाने ऐसे सिखाते थे। ये कोई गाना है बच्चों को सिखाने वाला? और साथ में गवाते भी थे, कह रहे सुर पकड़ोगे। छोटे छोटे बच्चे एक कमरे में बैठ के जोर जोर से तुम तो ठहरे परदेसी, बिल्कुल लगता था भिखारी बनाई क्लासेस चल रही है वहां पर। एक गाना सर ने मुझे सिखाया, स्पेशली मुझे सिखाया, आपने सुना है, बहुत सुंदर गाना, जिंदगी एक सफर है सुहाना, ब्यूटीफुल सॉन्ग। ऑल आई एम सेइंग इज डोंट टीच इट टू चिल्ड्रन। आई टेल यू व्हाई, बिकॉज फॉर द फर्स्ट 2 पैराग्राफ्स इट्स अ ब्यूटीफुल सॉन्ग। जिंदगी सफर है सुहाना, कल क्या हो किसने जाना, मुस्कुराते हुए हर दिन बिताना। एंड देन फ्रॉम द 3rd पैराग्राफ इट सडनली बिकम्स मौत आनी है आएगी एक दिन। आई वाज 8 years old। एक 8 साल का छोटा सा निशांत हर शाम को अपने घर में बैठ, मौत आनी है आएगी एक दिन। 6 से 7 टॉम एंड जेरी, 7 से 8 जान जानी है जाएगी एक दिन। और फिर गाने में आगे कह रहे हैं ऐसी बातों से क्या घबरा। हमने कैसे नहीं घबराना? कल तक मेरा सबसे बड़ा कंसर्न था कि स्कूल बस में पॉटी ना आ जाए, और फिर मैं उसका कोयला कैसे बनाऊंगा। अब मैं खड़ा हूं कि मौत आने वाली है। पर सर कह रहे हैं शाबाश बेटा, तुम्हारी आवाज में बहुत दर्द है। हमने कहा आपने डाल दिया है, मेरी आवाज में प्यूबर्टी नहीं है, दर्द कहां से आएगा। वेरी गुड, आई वांटेड दैट टू बी द लास्ट जोक, बट आई कांट एंड ऑन दैट नोट। डू आई हैव 5 more minutes? माइक नहीं दूंगा, क्या कर लोगे? लिख देना राहुल दुआ साला स्टेज से नहीं उतरा। ओके, 1 more फास्ट जोक, फास्ट। Vedant, do you have a topic in mind? Fast. EdTech. So strawberries. All my life, topic भी दिया तो EdTech. मेरे को जिंदगी में ना बहुत गू खाना पड़ा है, not literally, but I love strawberries. Okay, I love strawberries. It's my favorite flavor. And guys have always made fun of my manhood because of that. लौंडे ना मजाक उड़ाते हैं, स्ट्रॉबेरी, ओ स्ट्रॉबेरी, पिंक, स्ट्रॉबेरी खा रहा है, तू तो लड़की है, तू स्ट्रॉबेरी मार्गरीटा पी रहा है, दैट्स सो गे। I'm like, first of all, stop using that as an insult. Secondly, ये कैसा शिटी LHS equal to RHS हुआ? ये क्या लॉजिक हुआ कि निशांत को ये वाला फ्रूट पसंद है Therefore निशांत को दिनेश पसंद है. That's only true अगर मैं स्ट्रॉबेरी हमेशा दिनेश की गोदी में बैठ के खाता हूं. Went to my room, मेरे में स्ट्रॉबेरी है, दिनेश की छाती में whipped cream है. Then you can, ऐसा लग रहा है आपने देखी हुई है ये पहले. छाती में whipped cream. हाँ. Don't get me wrong, I'm not trying to be homophobic. That's not, I'm just saying as a young boy, other people use gay as an insult. You feel insulted. Society is enabling this. Okay? आप किसी फैंसी आइसक्रीम स्टोर में चले जाओ, चॉकलेट संडे का नाम हमेशा एक ऐसा घमासान अग्रेसिव, चॉकलेट ब्लड बाथ, डेथ बाय चॉकलेट, इतनी मर्दाना ऐसे डेथ करके चली गई. मैं गया था डेट पे रिसेंटली. द आइसक्रीम आई वांटेड टू हैव, इट वाज कॉल्ड समर प्रिंसेस. It's called Summer Princess. I don't care how secure you are with your masculinity. It is very difficult to feel manly while ordering a Summer Princess. क्या कर? पर मुझे खानी थी वो आइसक्रीम. पर मुझे मर्दाना भी दिखना था, फर्स्ट डेट है. मैंने सोचा क्या करूं? And then I realized I'm in Delhi. It's not that difficult to look manly. So I called the waiter and I like बहन चोद एक Summer Princess लेकर आ. और सुन ऊपर से वो रेनबो वाले स्प्रिंकल्स भी डाल देना. भोसड़ी के? लड़की परेशान, किसकी चॉइसेस नपुंसक, किसका अंदाज मर्दाना ये. आदमी है कि निकमा. एंड इट्स नॉट जस्ट स्ट्रॉबेरीज, इट्स ऑल फ्रूट्स. नो फ्रूट्स आर मैनली. सारे ऑल फ्रूटी थिंग्स आर वुमनली. सारे फल औरतों ने हड़प लिए. हाँ आप देखो, यू सी एनी ऑफ द प्रोडक्ट, शैम्पूज, क्रीम्स, कंडीशनर, एवरीथिंग इज पीच, एप्रिकॉट, सीताफल. मर्दों का कॉरस्पॉन्डिंग प्रोडक्ट साइड में काले रंग की बॉटल पड़ी होती है जिसपे लिखा होता है चारकोल. कह रहे कोयला लगा लो मुंह पे, बहुत मर्दाना है. मैं बता रहा हूं आपको, ये औरतों की चाल है. इन्हें बहुत साल पहले पता लग गया था कि फल टेस्टी होते हैं और मर्द गधे होते हैं. प्री हिस्टोरिक टाइम में आदमी खड़े होकर एप्पल खा रहा था, एक हॉट सी लड़की है, कह रही छी एप्पल कौन खाता है, दैट्स सो गे. मैन में लाइक ठीक है हम कल से पत्थर चाट लेंगे, ऐसी क्या बात हो गई. डिफिकल्ट बीइंग अ मैन. इट्स मच मोर डिफिकल्ट बीइंग अ वुमन. बट you know society has expectations from you as a man. You're supposed to be brave as a man, right? एकदम ऐसा you have to provide for your family, you have to be brave. मैं नहीं हूं. मैं एक उदाहरण सहित बताता हूं जाते जाते आपको. मैं गया था 3 साल पहले अपनी एक्स गर्लफ्रेंड के साथ मैक्लॉयडगंज आपको पता ही है, पहाड़ों में. हम वहां बैठे थे कैफे में. ठीक है, कैफे में बैठे हैं, मैं बैठा, वो बैठी है, उसके पीछे एक दीवार है, बहुत बड़ी दीवार है, और दीवार पे सडनली मैंने देखा एक स्पाइडर, मैसिव स्पाइडर. ऑनेस्टली आई हैव नेवर सीन अ बिगर स्पाइडर. लाइक माय फर्स्ट रिएक्शन वाज अरे वाह, दीवार पे कुत्ता चढ़ा. मैंने उसके बाकी के 4 पैर गिने. आई वाज लाइक नहीं. तो देन आई, मेरे अंदर से एक छोटी सी ऐसी चीख निकली, एंड आई जस्ट गॉट अप एंड मैं भाग गया वहां से. लाइक प्यार मोहब्बत दोबारा होती रहेगी, जीवन दोबारा नहीं मिलेगा. माय गर्लफ्रेंड केम टू मी लेटर, शी इज वेरी डिसअपॉइंटेड. शी लाइक तुम व्हाई डिडंट यू डू सम, तुम मर्द हो. हाँ मैं हूं मर्द, लेकिन वो घोड़ा, वो अपने वालों का मर्द निकला. तो कह रही है पर कुछ तो करना चाहिए था, भागे क्यों, तुम्हें शर्म नहीं आई, तुम भाग. यू हैव नो shame. And I'm like, please stop running shaming me. Anna says to all the other ladies here, it is natural to run from danger. It is human instinct to run from danger. Why do you think all of these 100-meter races begin with a gunshot? गणपति महाराज में दिल से भागता है ना एकदम. इसलिए इंडिया doesn't win any medals in the Olympics. Because where are most of our athletes from? हरियाणा. उनकी फटती नहीं है, वो स्टार्टिंग लाइन में खड़े हैं, पीछे गोली चलती है, दिल करे वाह मोहल्ले में शादी हो रही है. थैंक यू सो मच लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, दैट वाज माय टाइम.
Nishant, I request you to please come back on this stage. Nishant, I request Ms. Suvidha Jani from T-Hub team to present a memento of our gratitude. Thank you so much, Nishant. I think he has given some brilliant ideas also for all the startups. All the brains are here, and he has been giving a lot of ideas.
Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, a small reminder, those of you who have registered for the other sessions, parallelly they are going on, you can move on to your sessions or the location. We will be moving on to the next session here. The next session coming up here is building for the next billion. So those who have registered for this one, we request you to please remain seated here.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's head to the next amazing panel on building for the next billion. Isn't it curious to know how to bag the volumes of $1 billion in revenue? With the same curiosity, I invite the one who made billions making bus travel digital and ready to go from our pockets, Mr. Phanindra Sama, founder Red Bus, to moderate the session. Let's give him a huge round of applause and welcome him on this stage. Please have a seat. I also introduce the panelists for this discussion, Mr. Aprameya Radhakrishna, co-founder and CEO of KOO. Welcome, sir. Mr. Suraj Saharan, co-founder, Delivery. We request you to please join us on the stage. Mr. Gunjan Patidar, Chief Technology Officer of Zomato. And last but not least, Ms. Deepti Dutt, Head Strategic Initiatives, Public Sector, Amazon. I now hand over the session to Mr. Phanindra Sama.
Guys, please take your chairs. क्या यार आप निशांत को नहीं बोले हमें बोल रहे हो? She's saying half an hour we have to end the session. So anyway, we'll try that. So how many of you are building for the next billion? Right? Oh, okay, good. Okay. And how many of you want free AWS credits? Yeah. Okay, so that's Deepti. So Deepti ko patana. Okay, so thanks for staying back. We have a great panelists here to build for the next billion. First is Gunjan. Gunjan is a co-founder and CTO of Zomato, and you all know Zomato. The new thing in Zomato is the next billion users, how they're going to the smaller towns and serving there. When I heard that first, it was a big, like a surprise to me. कि वहाँ पर कौन आके आपके ऐप में they will book a biryani which will be delivered like from 2 kilometers away from them. But let's hear their insights and learnings and how they catering to the next billion users. Right now, Zomato has about 2,000 plus, 1,000 plus pin codes, cities, 1,000 plus cities may they are delivering, and the pin codes will be a lot more. Next, we have Suraj. If you have traveled on the highway, you would have not missed the amazingly looking trucks, the delivery trucks. Many times my kids have asked, "Ye delivery kya hai?" They're like so awed by the trucks. But even beyond that, they have a great business. Both of them are public companies, Zomato and Delivery. They do deliveries into almost every corner of our country. Then we have Deepti. She's the person for our credits, AWS credits. But Deepti has a fantastic background in making solutions for the next billion users. Unlike the others here, Deepti has actually partnered with the governments to deliver those solutions, whether it is Aadhaar or smart cities. Deepti has done it all. So we'll love to take your insights on how we can create solutions for the next billion. Then last we have Aprameya. Aprameya is the founder of KOO. How many of you know KOO? Almost everybody. Yeah. So Aprameya is the founder of KOO, our own social media platform. So let's hear from them. So where do we start? So Aprameya, over to you. So why did you feel like building for the next billion, where vernacular languages is possible on Twitter, right? I can go and our minister puts the Telugu tweets on Twitter. So why is there a need for another platform like KOO?
Yeah. So I'll just get into some, high-level inciting on how social media networks are to be frameworked, right? So if you look at it, India is mostly on Facebook and WhatsApp, right? Most of India. And if you look at Facebook and WhatsApp, they are actually closed networks, which means for the average person in India, you're adding your friends and family on Facebook and friends and family on WhatsApp, right? And your voice doesn't go beyond those 20, 30 people, and maximum on a WhatsApp group of 256, but now 512 people, right? So the voice of India on the open internet, right? Open internet examples are Twitter, are kind of Instagram if you don't lock your account, right? So on the open internet, having your voice heard is a new phenomena for 95% plus Indians. A person who does not know English cannot actually tag the minister of any state or their favorite actor or their favorite cricketer or even connect with people beyond who they know on any other platform apart from Coup, right? So that is the white space that we actually occupy. It's not obvious to the naked eye because everything looks like social media. But being able to create new connections and being able to reach your voice to anybody in the country was something that wasn't solved ever before because everybody takes a very English first approach. So bridging the gap between, English speaking India and the rest of India. Like before Coup, I had never expressed myself in any other language apart from English on the internet. And I'm sure in this room, most of you would agree. Like, we are English citizens of the internet. And it's one global network. And that global network is probably 10-20% of the world. 80% of the world is not connected there. So in order to connect them, to give them a voice, for them to be able to experience the power of the internet in a true sense is why we created
Sure.
it.
So what's the insight here? There are millions of users, so they're coming for some reason. And for the people from the other side, right? I mean, Twitter and Coup appear the same. Like I said, we can go and put the language there and etc. So what's that insight? What's that insight that we can take away? Like, how do we get the courage to build, right, a vernacular app for the next billion? Like, can I build a WhatsApp for the next billion?
Yeah.
Saying that, hey, it's Angrezi, so let me do something for the next billion.
So for us, the advantage is the fact that, this is an untapped market. Like microblogging, sharing of thoughts and opinions on Twitter is restricted to 1% of India, maximum 2% of India, who are talking amongst themselves and hoping that the world listens to them. That is the reality of Twitter, right? But Coup is the place where 1 or 2% of India, including famous folks and educated Indians, can actually come and use some of the tools that we've built to express one thought in multiple languages. And when you do that, each of those thoughts in, let's say I Coup in not just English but also Kannada. Coup will go to the English folks, English community on Coup. Hindi will go to Hindi community and Kannada will go to Kannada community. So my one thought which was restricted to English is now open to Hindi and Kannada for the first time. And the Hindi and Kannada folks can listen to, maybe I'm talking about startups, maybe I'm talking about something else. So they get access to the educated as well as VIPs and everybody for the first time in their own language. And that is an experience we've.
Perfect. Thanks. Yeah, over to Deepti. So, Deepti, how's your experience been to roll out these massive infrastructure projects to the next billion users? So what goes on, let's say, to roll out Aadhaar, right? I mean, you were there during the early days of Aadhaar. So how should one think about rolling out projects to the next billion users?
Sure. So, when you're rolling out such massive projects and designing something that's population scale is also what we call, right? There are two key considerations that one need to keep in mind. One is the technology aspect of things, and second is the field operations, the groundwork that one needs to do around that. So let me talk about technology aspect. Aadhaar technology is very well known. Let me also talk about some of the recent ones where, like in COVID time, the quick response that was required on how do we really respond to COVID, and how Arogya Setu, CoWIN, eSanjeevani, all these apps came up, right? And I'll share some more examples on how technology-wise you really need to design your solution in such a way that a lot of unknowns exist when you're building a new solution, when you're a startup.
you don't know at what point in time what scale would be required, right? So if I take COVID example, Prime Minister's birthday, we had 2 crores, over 2 crores vaccination in a single day. Rest of the days around that time, the average was 20 lakh vaccination. These days, it's about 4 to 5 lakh vaccination per day that's happening, right? So how do you design a solution that automatically scales to that level? And I mean, you know, there was like, you know, just imagine what if on Prime Minister's birthday, the commitment to do 2 crores plus vaccination, what if infrastructure creaked there and the solution did not work, right? How much of negative press that would have acquired. But you know, the system just worked so seamlessly because the way the entire thing was designed, you know, it's auto scaling, serverless, it just goes up and down without any hiccup. And also just imagine what, you know, if someone had to get that entire infra in place for 2 crores vaccination, even for today's scenario of 4 to 5 lakh, right? It's such a huge waste of money, yeah? Similarly, eSanjeevani also, if you look at, right, the way it's scaling up and, you know, during lockdown, the demand goes up and so on and so forth. Another interesting solution that we are working on with one of our partners is, we talk about smart metering a lot these days, right? Now the entire thing is coming up on prepaid smart metering, okay? A few pilots are done in a couple of districts in Bihar and these kind of places. And the user behavior pattern that was observed was in certain places where people recharge literally on a daily or a weekly basis. You know, end of the day, once they're done with the work, whatever daily wages they got, they just go buy that coupon and they go and recharge the thing. Versus there are pockets where people just want to recharge for 1 quarter, 6 months in one time and get going with things. They don't really want to have the botheration of daily recharge. So again, how do you design entire solution for so much of unknown? Yeah, so much of uncertainty, so much of flexibility that is required. So that's one aspect. When you're designing your technology, you know, how you're really adopting latest technology, how you're taking care of all the flexibility, scalability, unknowns that are required. And of course, you know, that's where, like, as AWS Cloud, we've been working with all these entities to make sure serverless and auto scaling and all these things come into picture. It also saves you from technology obsolescence. Tomorrow you want to do advanced analytics, AI, ML, that becomes easier. So it's a technology aspect of it. Second important aspect is, and it's not so much focused, unfortunately, you know, I call it that technology and processes are siblings. Technology is a more glamorous sibling and gets more attention, but you know, it's equally important to pay attention to field operations as well. So again, here I'll share some examples, some anecdotes from my UIDAI time, my Aadhaar time, okay? You know, we had 3 key pillars of focus of Aadhaar that we had: scale, inclusion, and quality. And how do you really design your field processes to take care of those, okay? If you talk about inclusion, you know, you got to cater to people who have literally no biometrics, okay? So for example, I actually sat at leprosy centers and observed those people who have no fingerprints, no digits, no eyes, nothing left. So how do you design for those? How do you design your systems to reach out, you know, to ensure that third, fourth class kid who is getting government scholarship, she is covered as part of the scholarship program. So again, I spent a lot of time in rural areas, part of the country, you know, in villages in Jharkhand and Tripura to understand the dynamics, how all that works and how do we cater to those. You know, we thought of things like how do you deliver Aadhaar to the homeless. You know, homeless by definition, they do not have an address to which you can reach out to, right? So what field processes that you really put in place to reach out to? So for example, you know, we looked at Delhi has ran Baseras and we picked up, those days 2010, Google Map was not that common, right? To put lat long and have it delivered. So we picked up Aishar Map and we would say Aishar Map, edition X, page 31, cell A14 is this person's address. So you have to get creative along those lines.
Nice.
And I think, you know, even, you know,
yeah,
as part
I think
of
these
your
two guys
operations,
have the
yeah, you have examples,
have that
right?
problem,
Because,
yeah.
I mean, so, you know, and when you go to VCs, they'll ask about your business model, they'll ask about your revenue model, they'll ask about your technology, but very few question you really on your field operations, your process is part of it. So that's my one key thing, that, you know, recognize that technology has to be agile, scalable, flexible, a lot of unknowns that need to be catered to, and you have to focus a lot on field operations for if you're really building for the next billion, if you really want your solution to scale up to that level, field operations become very, very important aspect.
Nice. Thanks, Deepti. Yeah, next moving on to Suraj. So Suraj, you guys do a lot of deliveries, almost large percentage of e-commerce happens through delivery, and it's all over the country. Tier 1 town, Tier 2 town, Tier 4 town, and etc. So what are some of the how the operations different from tier 1 to tier 4, or how's your approach, how's your strategy or approach go to market different in those towns compared to tier 1?
Right. So, yes, so I mean, when we started, of course, the e-commerce market itself was limited only to the top 3 metros in 2011. As we've grown, we've seen the market expand from these urban sort of centers all the way to very, very small towns or even villages today. I think in a large part of that push has come because of data availability everywhere. And also in the last 2 years, because of lockdowns, people started to order online. When we go out to smaller places, I think there's a minimum volume that if we are able to get in a particular town, we can set up our own operations. But if we want to scale beyond that, where we are not getting the minimum sort of shipments required to break even, what we've started doing is we've started partnering with local entrepreneurs. And you know, while we've delivered 1.4 billion shipments in our journey till date, which is, by the way, slightly larger than the Indian population, we are now doing a large part, not a majority, but a significant portion of our deliveries through these partners. And so these are mini entrepreneurs sitting out in towns where we don't have enough volume for us to open our own operations. Otherwise, it will become unsustainable or economically unviable. And so we partner with a lot of these people out there who may be running a STD PCO in the earlier days, which is no longer applicable. So they're now migrating and started to do deliveries for us. Or somebody running a gas agency, as an example, on the side is also doing these for us, right? So creating a network of partners where you cannot be present yourself. I think that's the big thing that we've learned. The other is, of course, and you know, like Dipti had mentioned, I think it's very important that when you think about taking your business to a geographically large reach, it is very, very important that you focus on creating the right process. And I think training becomes very, very important there. Because you ultimately cannot be present in every location to train the staff. So you have to design programs that can be extended very quickly and can be run by people who are managing local areas as opposed to a central team traveling the country. That allows you to scale up very, very quickly. Of course, the tech in the backend has to be able to support all of this.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I'd ask the same question to you, Gunjan. So how is the tier 2 India or tier 3 India different from the tier 1? What differences are you seeing, and what opportunities are you seeing there?
Yeah, so on the opportunity side, I think, you know, when back, I think 2 or 3 years back, when we were present only in maybe 20, 25, 30 cities, metros mostly, and we were not sure whether is there a market beyond these cities or not. And you know, there was no way to do that unless we tried it, right? So in a classic startup fashion, we just said, "Kya karke dekhte hain?" And we said, let's launch the 50th city in the list. If that works, then you know, at least 20 cities are sorted. So we launched that, and we were not expecting more than maybe 100 orders a day or something like that. And then it completely surprised us. And you know, very quickly it reached 1,000 orders a day, and it kept growing. So we were like surprised that there's definitely a market. Then we launched the 300th city. And it still, you know, it took a little longer, but it still reached that milestone. You know, and till the time we reached almost 400, 500 cities, like it kept working, you know, obviously over a longer duration. So there definitely exists a large opportunity. But to be able to tap that opportunity, and now we operate in 1,000 plus cities across India. So, but the customers definitely are different. And your product also has to adapt to those, you know, their needs. And I think inclusion is what Dipti.
So how is the product different?
They're different. You know, they have a different background. They've had a different journey. They came to the internet in a different fashion compared to, you know, tier 1 users. They probably started using internet first on WhatsApp or Facebook. Mobile was the first device that they used.
So is Zomato different for the next billion users?
Yeah, so we have to you know, keep thinking about those users and keep building our product for those users. So for example, features like voice search. So they're not used to typing out their search queries, but they are comfortable speaking out their queries.
Nice.
So and we're seeing great adoption of that. Things like vernacular, or even even in English, people are comfortable typing, or they prefer typing chai rather than tea, right? So our product needs to be able to understand that and give out better results. And even their use cases are different. So maybe for a lot of our users in tier 1, tier 2 cities, it's more about convenience and daily food needs and all of those things. And for a lot of people in the, let's say, 500 plus cities, it's something like an occasion where someone in the family has a birthday, right? And they want to celebrate that by ordering something. So and we were also not sure whether these are small cities, do they need someone, a delivery person, to bring the food to them? Why can't they just go and get the food? But all of that it works, so people need that that option as well.
Nice. So Apramaya, so it looks like a large market out there, and all of you have presence in the next billion users. So what's the catch? Like what are the challenges? Like what's something that we have to be wary when we create a product or a solution for the next billion users?
Yeah, so I think at least in terms of questions that we get asked is about monetization, right? You'll get a lot of users, but will they spend enough? Do they have the spending power so that you can get advertisers to come and pay to target them? So if you have to give a plain vanilla answer, they can't be compared in the same light as the city users, right? There will always be different things that they spend on. One of my favorite examples is that if I call the phone number of a driver in Bangalore, a song will play, right? If I call your number, no song will play, right? He pays 30 rupees a month for that. And you ask us, 30 rupees is too much to play a song on the phone, right? So I think there will be different reasons why they spend. There'll be a lot more, they're emotional spenders, which means something that gives them, this kind of a personality expression of which song I like might be worth 30 rupees a month for them, whereas it's not for us because we have other places in which we can express, right? So I think there will be very detailed, you have to get into extreme detail to find out these use cases. The English users will spend in the thousands and 10,000s. The language users will probably spend in the tens and hundreds.
Nice.
But the numbers are much higher. And this tens and hundreds won't remain tens and hundreds. They will get used to spending, they will get more access to money, and then that behavior will extend into hundreds and thousands as well, right? So I think that is something that all companies that are building for $1 billion, they have to kind of tweak and find new insights to unleash this new source of money.
Very nice, very nice. This is a fantastic insight that the 30 rupees that they spend, and what you said about they being emotional spenders. I think that's a great insight. So how do you gather these insights? Like you have, like we always say, hey, stay closer to the customer, right? I mean, do you have offices in those, right? I mean, in the tier 2, tier 3 India, or like how do you gather these insights?
I think there's no one way. We keep visiting smaller towns, we keep talking to people there. We see behavior on the app. We get feedback on email, on our Play Store. So we take every feedback extremely seriously because, when we were building Taxi for Sure, it was building for us. Half of it at least was for the urban user, the other half was for the driver. Here, it's almost like building for somebody else all the time, right? Except for the English user on the platform who's reaching out to the non-English users. That's the use case that we relate to directly. But all other use cases, we are trying to learn from the user directly.
Got it. Okay, so it looks like monetization is a big problem when you're building for the next billion people.
Communicating the solution. It's not a problem.
Okay.
As in finding and communicating that solution to people who think it's a problem is a problem.
You mean the investors? Okay, so good. Okay, we'll move on. So Deepthi is in a very enviable place, perhaps. So her revenue comes from the governments to who you sell the solution. So could you just give us some insight on, let's say, I create a solution, let's say a DigiLocker or something like that, or a solution for a smart cities, which will impact the next billion users. But I'll have to sell it to the government, and then government actually implements the solution. So how to make, like, how do I go about thinking through the revenues, like any anecdotes, how much should I bill, how do I make money there? You're still building for the next billion, but through via channel.
Yeah. So, I'll share some examples from startups itself, right? How can startups work better with government? See, first of all, what we recognize is that, it's actually important for both startups and government to come together, especially startups who are in impact area, because government needs startups to get innovation into their solution in the citizen services, and startups working in impact area, they need government to scale up their solution. In fact, that's the reason we created a program, especially around this called Startup Ramp, where we work on how do we really, get the government and startup together. What works in government is, government has these champions who are wanting to try out new areas. And having worked at UIDI myself, ringside I have seen that there are officers, there are people who are always willing to try out new things and go, and there are people who are not wanting to do things. You have both kind of people in government setup. So to identify those champions who are willing to, experiment, take your solution, do some experiment on ground and help you grow big, right? And I think those avenues are opening more and more now. T-Hub itself is an example. Right? Like we recently launched a drone accelerator with Telangana government and T-Hub, where the drone solutions are going to get piloted by the traffic department and agriculture department and things like that. Yeah, and in government precedence works best. So when you're working, so one is identify the avenues through which you can avail of such programs, get to the first couple of pilots with government, and make sure that when you do these pilots, you get some paper trail of this. Even if you don't get paid, at least a certificate which says that you have done this, this is the outcome that you have, get it referenceable as we say in public sector parlance, right? Where you can go and quote that you have done that work somewhere else. That's a very important thing, that getting your first customer, getting to do these field pilots, doing business validation on the ground, getting on paper that you have worked with a certain government department, that's one thing that helps you set the base. Then the second important aspect becomes the partnership. I personally believe, and my experience says that, be it, I've worked extensively in urban, rural utilities, all these segments. If you look at from government side, all these projects are pretty large, mega projects, and multiple solutions need to come together to meet the end objective. Typically one startup solution cannot really fulfill these. So what happens, and government can't really take that risk, right? And startups also can't really go that scale in one go. So therefore, what governments end up doing is they do these RFPs where is the concept of master system integrator that come into picture, and then they get multiple of these solutions together. So in fact, if you look at I call my Startup Ramp program a three-legged tool. How do you bring government, which is a demand side, startup the supply side, and system integrator with the fulfillment side? How do you bring these three together? So the partnerships angle, that becomes very, very important. So like we work with the likes of L&T, Bell in smart cities area. Yeah, similarly we work with others in utility segment. So it's very important to recognize two things: identify champions, identify entities through which you can go and do these first pilots, first business validation, get a paper trail that you have done that work. And second is then look at how do you do partnership with system integrators, larger organization that eases out your go-to-market story.
Got it. Yeah, thanks. And coming to both of you, you have on-ground presence, and now we're discussing about profitability and revenue. So you need a critical mass of activity in a particular town for you to be profitable. So how are you thinking about that, and what are the challenges, what are the opportunities to get to that critical mass there? Yeah. And then after that, we'll open up for questions, one or two questions.
I'll go first there. Like I was describing to you the earlier example where In smaller towns today where we don't have enough volume of e-commerce going in through our network, we look for micro entrepreneurs. For them, it becomes an additional source of revenue without having to invest in the fixed cost because they're already owning that shop or already sitting out of that shop, right? So they're just adding on 2 or 3 people to deliver shipments and get paid for that additionally. I think trying to keep finding solutions that help you get to your desired cost of operation becomes important. So in this case, in our case, partners work. In some other cases, you might want to do like a floating manager come delivery boy combination. So the same person, you don't have a dedicated manager all day, but the same person sends everybody out and then goes out for delivery to reduce your fixed cost, right? Or you might want to co-locate with another business in that city and say, I'm going to pay half the rent because anyways your space is half utilized. So trying to think of these innovative ways to bring about, you reduce your cost of operation.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. And I think to say that the next billion audience is not monetizable would be wrong. Like it is monetizable. We just have to understand and figure out ways in which we can monetize them. So for us, even in very, very small cities, it's not that people are not eating food outside. They go to the local eatery shop, they go to the local dhabas, and they still spend that money, right? We are just making it more convenient and giving them a different mode of experiencing that. So, so it's not like people are not spending that money. It's just that the channel is different. So it's just that you have to figure out what works for that audience and for you, and then build that solution.
Okay, got it. Thanks. So do you have any questions in the audience now? Yeah, we'll pass the mic.
My question to Gunjan, you talked about that you are trying to implement the voice assistant service in Zomato that kind of help customer what they want to order, chai and tea, those kind of keywords. My question is talking about the personalization experience that we want to build to a customer. There is a section in the app where it says special instruction if I want to order. So that itself I find is a kind of piece of crank where I want to customize my order, and that itself is not getting fulfilled. So how are you going to solve that root problem where app take the instructions, but the delivery boy or the restaurant are not following that order first? And do you also think that Indian market is more of discount driven, because I see a lot of bigger widgets, 60% off, 30%, rather than building a personalized experience in terms of food? So what's your take on that, Gunjan? Thank you.
To answer your first question, I think a lot of it comes down to training, training the entire ecosystem. So we work with, 3 large, you can call it sections. One is the customer, but we also have delivery partners and the restaurant partners, right? So all of them need to understand the entire journey to be able to provide the best experience that the user is expecting. And that comes from, continuous training, policy changes, and all of that over time. And that is what we keep trying to do. For the second part, again, I don't think Indian, definitely discounts is one way to attract the customers, but not all customers are discount driven. Again, for such a large user base, you can't put one solution and expect that everyone will it works for everyone. You have to break down your user base, segment it out, understand what works for which user, personalize the experience for them. There are premium users, there are deal seekers, there are repeat users who basically, there are explorers who want